Mets fans, I just want to say I'm sorry. We thought we were going to see a new chapter in the life of Mets fans, but as I like to say, the Mets are going to Mets. And we see that happening last night and this morning. If you haven't found out yet, the new GM of the Mets, new former GM of the Mets, Jared Porter, will finally admitted to sending unsolicited text messages to a female reporter back in 2016 when he worked with the Chicago Cubs. And this is kind of sickening, honestly, to be real with you guys. I don't like it at all. And the reason the article goes over by Jeff Passan and Mina Kims, I think is how you say her name, or Kimes. Um, Basically, the reason that it happened back in 2016 and they haven't said anything about it yet is that the reporter that Jared Porter did this to didn't want anything to happen. She thought her career was going to be in jeopardy. But now she's no longer in baseball, and she finally decided to she decided to let ESPN make the story and release it because ESPN has known about this since 2017. And in the article, they say that they've been in contact with her throughout this time, the past few years, just to see when or if she ever wanted to release what Jared Porter did. So it was tons of unsolicited messages after they met in 2016. He would ask her to come meet her at hotels, meet her in cities, meet her in restaurants, and then he would send her unsolicited selfies, which obviously, unsolicited anything isn't good. Selfies aren't terrible, but then it turned from selfies to pictures of bulges in his pants and unsolicited full dick pics. So this is a terrible look for Jared Porter. Luckily, Steve Cohen decided to. Steve Cohen did fire him this morning. He tweeted it out. Hopefully, I'll be able to put it on the screen right now. He tweeted out that there should be absolutely zero tolerance for this kind of behavior, and that this is the first time anyone in the Mets had heard about it. So it's good for them that they decided to fire him now. They didn't really have a choice. I will say I do think Steve Cohen's. I'm glad they fired him. Definitely, it's probably smart that he waited until this morning. Um, but I do think he might be getting a little bit too much credit for not. I think he's getting too much credit for doing the bare minimum. Because I think there was no chance that Jared Porter, could continue his role with the Mets after this has come out. And what's disturbing to me is that Jared Porter obviously knew this had happened, knew that ESPN knew about it, and still applied for the Mets position as if he was going to get away with what he did, which I don't like at all. And I don't know. I'm just glad that he's being held responsible. What's terrible to me is that, and this is probably just going to be like an unedited rant. Um, we saw this female reporter is no longer in baseball, and in the article by Mina and Jeff, they say she felt like she needed to hide at her job to avoid Jared Porter. She was consistently ignoring him. Jared Porter sent her 62 unresponded messages, including unsolicited pictures of his dick and different things, asking her where she was and why she wasn't responding. So quite disturbing. And we've just seen all of these amazing women kind of break some glass ceilings in the sport. Obviously, Kim Ng just got hired during this offseason as the Miami Marlins GM, and she had to have a clean record for decades in baseball before she could finally get hired and be the first female GM in the sport. We saw the minor league coach for the Red Sox got hired. I don't remember which level she's in, but she got hired. So it's really, there's all these good things happening in the sport, and then this terrible news comes back. And again, I'm glad that I think ESPN handled it well by periodically checking up with her, and seeing when she wanted to come out with the story. Now that she's out, and the story doesn't say that she left the sport because of what happened to her with Jared Porter, but it's at least part of the reason. I mean, there's no way you can feel safe while going through something like this. And yeah, I mean, there's no, you just, imagine going to work every day and you have to hide because someone that you don't want to see and is sending you unsolicited pictures of their naked body is there. And it's unfortunate because he took advantage of her not being from the United States, not totally knowing the culture or the language. And she said that she, back in her home country, the reason that she wanted the article to come out is that ESPN agreed to keep her anonymous and not give away any information about her. So we don't know where she's from, and we don't know her name. All we know is that she was also working at Wrigley Field for a period of time in 2016. Um, but that's at least part of the reason she left the sport. And she came out and said that she didn't want to get ridiculed in her own country because even though there's this female empowerment movement in the United States, it's not exactly how it works where she's from. So it's just extremely unfortunate for her that it happened this way, and I feel my heart goes out to her and anyone else that might be going through this. So like I said, I'm glad that Jared Porter is out as the Mets GM, and I'm glad Steve Cohen fired him when he did. Now moving forward for the Mets, obviously they need a new GM. I hope they hire a woman and they give a quite metaphorical and literal middle finger to Jared Porter. I think that would be awesome. It would be a great move for Steve Cohen. Obviously, it's not. We don't know what's going to happen now. It just happened. The news just broke last night. But I think it would be very cool if something like that were to happen. Yeah, I mean, hopefully the Mets can bounce back from this. I feel like we've been saying that for a long time. Mets have gone through scandals, and this is the second offseason in a row where the Mets hired someone and immediately had to fire them because of something that came out. What Carlos Beltran did was obviously much less severe than this. This is, in my opinion, Jared Porter being fired is not enough punishment for what he did. But still, poor Mets fans, the Mets organization, they hired someone and immediately had to fire them. It's a bad look. It's a tough look. It's not their fault per se, but I don't think this has any reflection on Steve Cohen. Like I said, he didn't know. No one knew about it. No one in the sport knew about it. So I do think the Mets are going to bounce back from this. Steve Cohen seems to really know what he's doing. Seems to be a great owner. Yeah, I don't know. The Mets. I'm surprised. I'm also glad that the Mets didn't do something else to try and get Jared Porter's name out of the news. Like if they had signed George Springer immediately after this news broke, that would be a terrible look. That would be something Major League Baseball would do. So I'm glad that they didn't do that. Yeah, so I wanted to come on here and just rant to you guys a little bit about the news, what exactly had gone on, and I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Make sure you leave a like comment down below how you think the Mets are going to bounce back from this, and if you're new, hit that subscribe button. All my socials are going to be linked in the description. Check me out on Twitch, McMiller42, and my new podcast with a couple other content creators called Diamond in the Rough. We have a YouTube page and an Instagram, and we're also on Spotify. So thank you very much for watching, and have a good day. Peace out.